After the initial newspaper reports in 1947, the Roswell incident faded from public attention for more than 30 years when interest reemerged in the late 70s. The Roswell incident was featured in films, TV shows, and books. Amid increasingly complex conspiracy theories, multiple hoaxes and legends about alien bodies were incorporated into the Roswell mythos. The trend culminated in 1995's purported footage of Alien Autopsy, which filmmakers later revealed to be a hoax, though they preferred the term reconstruction. And I want to take a moment to address the Alien Autopsy tape. I'm sure you've seen it, JR.
Yes.
Okay, so there's one major issue I have with the coincidence theorists in writing off the alien autopsy. And again, I'm not saying it's real or fake, but there's just a fundamental lack of understanding of how this would work. And I will reveal that in a moment, but let's just do the run through on the alien autopsy. The Alien Autopsy is a 17-minute black and white film supposedly depicting a secret medical examination or autopsy of an alien by the U.S. military. It was released in 1995 by London-based entrepreneur Ray Santilli. He presented it as an authentic autopsy on the body of an alien recovered from the 1947 crash of a flying disc near Roswell, New Mexico. The film footage was allegedly supplied to him by a retired military cameraman who wished to remain anonymous. In 2006, Santilli admitted the film was not authentic, but rather a staged reconstruction of footage he claimed to have viewed in 1992, but which had deteriorated and became unusable by the time he made the film. He claimed that a few frames of the original were embedded in his films, but never specified which one. The existence of an original film strip of the alleged autopsy has never been independently verified. So, Alien Autopsy Fact or Fiction. Fox televised a broadcast including this footage hosted by Jonathan Frekes in the U.S. on August 28, 1995, under the title Alien Autopsy Fact or Fiction. The program caused a sensation, with Time magazine declaring that the film sparked a debate with an intensity not lavished on any home movie since the Zapruder film. Fox rebroadcast the program twice, each time to higher ratings, with the November 1995 broadcast winning its time slot again with 11.7 million viewers and a 14% share. Although in the broadcast version, some parts of the autopsy were pixelized or edited out because of their supposed graphic nature, the earlier version contained, Santilli claimed, the complete and unedited film in addition to previously unreleased footage of the wreckage, which was presented as the remains of the alien craft reported to have crashed in Roswell. The Fox program features numerous well-known figures both in front of and behind the camera. Interviews with experts on the authenticity of the film include Oscar-winning special effects makeup artist Stan Winston, cinematographer Alan DeVoe, and noted forensic pathologist Cyril Wecht, who considered the autopsy procedures in the film to be authentic, but stopped short of declaring the being an alien. Film director John Jobson was engaged by producer Robert Kiviat to direct several portions of the Fox special, including Santilli's interview. Jobson has stated that he became immediately suspicious upon meeting Santilli in London, and after conducting further investigation, told both Fox and Kiviat that he believed the whole thing was a fraud. He described their responses. It was then made clear to me that if the footage was exposed as a hoax before the show aired, the ratings would suffer. Jobson then enlisted the services of his friend, well-known PI William Deere, but according to Jobson, Deere was held back by the producers for fear the hoax would be exposed before the air date, and he was limited to investigating the identity of the mystery cameraman. Two of the program's participants claimed their observations were distorted. Stan Winston and Kevin D. Randall, a noted UFO author and investigator, both claimed they clearly stated in their interview they believed the footage was a hoax, but their statements were not used. Also, on August 28, 1995, the UK Channel 4 screened the Roswell incident as a special edition of its long-running Secret History documentary series, which included the purported autopsy footage. Santilli's admission. In 2006, the events surrounding the release of the footage were adapted as a British feature film comedy, Alien Autopsy, directed by John Campbell and written by William Davies. Have you seen that one? I actually have not seen that one.
No, I haven't seen it.
The film presents a humorous reconstruction of the making of the Santilli film based on Santilli's statements without commenting on the veracity of his claims. On April 4th, 2006, days before the release of the film, Sky broadcast a documentary, Amon Investigates, Alien Autopsy, presented by Amon Holmes. In this program, Ray Santilli and fellow producer Gary Shufield admitted that their film was actually a reconstruction containing only, in their words, a few frames from the original 22 rolls of film, each averaging 4 minutes in length, that Santilli claimed to have viewed in 1992. They explained that by the time they had raised enough money to purchase the original, only a few frames were still intact, the rest having been degraded beyond the point of usability by heat and humidity. In the documentary, Amon Holmes repeatedly refers to the film as a fake, while Santilli patiently insists it's a restoration, maintaining it's a reconstruction of an actual alien autopsy film he viewed in the early 90s that subsequently deteriorated. Santilli and Shufield stated that they had restored the damaged footage by filming a simulated autopsy on a fabricated alien based upon what Santilli said he saw in 92 and then adding in a few frames of the original film that had not degraded. They had not identified which frames are from the alleged original. According to Santilli, a set was constructed in the living room of an empty flat in Rochester Square, Camden Town, London. John Humphreys, an artist and sculptor, was employed to construct the two dummy alien bodies over a period of 3 weeks using casts containing sheep brains set in raspberry jam, chicken entrails, and knuckle joints obtained from S.C. Crosby Wholesale Butchers, Smithfield Meat Market, London. Humphreys also played the role of chief examiner in order to allow him to control the effects being filmed. There were 2 separate attempts at making the film footage. After filming, the team disposed of the bodies by cutting them into small pieces and placing them in rubbish bins across London. Alien artifacts, supposedly items recovered from the crash site, were depicted in the footage. These included alien symbols and a 6-figure control panel, which Santilli describes in the Sky documentary as being the result of artistic license on his part. These artifacts were also created by Humphreys. The footage also showed a man reading a statement verifying his identity as the original cameraman and the source of the footage. Santilli and Shufield admitted in the documentary they found an unidentified homeless man on the streets of Los Angeles, persuaded him to play the role of the cameraman, and filmed him in a motel. The documentary was also released slightly modified on DVD in 2006. So before I give my thoughts, do you care to comment on any of this information, Jim?
Well, the Murdoch family that owns Fox, like, it sounds like, they had a really good Christmas that year. And they definitely took, like, if it's all a hoax, they took a good page from, the Hearst. If it's then, and Dan, like, if it's not, then, hey, like, the Murdochs still had a really good Christmas that year.
Okay, so here's the McGuire theory on this. Again, I'm not saying it's
What's weird is that, like, if it was, like, so, like, it was obviously fake, why did they have to go through all this trouble of, like, disposing of, like, the set and the body? Like, why wouldn't they just throw the whole alien body out? Like, why would they cut it into little pieces and put it in garbage bins? That in and of itself kind of sounds shady. Like, is it like that?
To me, that's actually the only thing that sounds kind of legit, including hiring a homeless guy. Because if it's a homeless guy, who's going to be able to find him and get his statement? Whereas if it was, let's say, a struggling actor, at some point someone might offer him enough money where he could come forward and say, oh yeah, I played that role, it was fake. Whereas by using a homeless guy, that's a pretty good hedge on their part that nobody would ever find him and be able to get the information out of him that it was a hoax. Or if he did start spouting on the street corners that it was him, who would believe a random homeless guy in LA that these guys in London filmed that they were doing this autopsy in London? So, and disposing of the body, I'm guessing that's so nobody would find it, because if let's say it turned up or someone spotted it in the trash, that's the end of their whole spiel because it's obviously fake. So by cutting it up into little pieces and spreading it around a whole bunch of different bins, they kind of protected their investment in that way.
Yeah, but like, how come like if it was like such a good hoax, like why didn't they make like more than one like film?
Okay, so here's the McGuire. Let's say just for the sake of argument, let's say it's real for a moment. If they were threatened in some way to write it off as a hoax and even possibly paid money by either paid money by the U.S. government or other parties, or legitimately threatened, they could easily just make that new statement, which it's awfully convenient that they're making this confession right before this other movie comes out. I mean, is that coincidental timing for you, Jay? like,
Yeah, well, I mean, like the whole thing is a little coincidental, like just in general. I mean, I mean, again, it can be wrapped in 1,000 different ways. I mean, the government could have like made a video that was a hoax, and then they made a video of the hoax. They hoaxed the hoax.
that's a very good point. That is a very good point. So this guy could have honestly seen footage that might have been legitimate. Now here's the extra point here. If this was some kind of Russian operation where they were using deformed humans, is it possible that this autopsy was of a deformed human and it's not extraterrestrial, but it is real?
I mean, that's also possible too. I mean, I've seen some books on like deformities and such, and like they don't all just look like the Elephant Man or John Maverick. I mean, like some deformities are pretty extreme. I mean, they're even more extreme than the Elephant Man. So I mean, like
yeah.
anything is possible, but I mean, really anything is. It also could be. I mean, you got to remember this is around the time when like we were trying to like supposedly clone humans, which we've never somehow successfully done, and then all of a sudden everyone stopped talking about that. So I mean, that could be another situation. No, seriously, that. When was the last time you heard someone mention that?
Now that you mention it,
but like a couple decades have gone by since we were doing that. So I mean, like whatever happened to that?
Well, I think it's safe to say if they're publicly disclosing the cloning of sheep in the 90s, they were doing much more prior to the 90s.
Yeah, and like all of a sudden we just stopped talking about it. Like, and you haven't heard anything about it in like decades. So I mean, yeah, like whatever happened to that? What I'm saying is and like our technology is supposedly like 5 times more superior than it was then. So I mean, all you need to do is turn on your TV and go to court TV, and they're like convicting people and like sending them to prison for life for like a saffron strand of hair, like in some obscure like part of like a bed of a truck. But we can't do any of that, like, when it comes to, like, making it. So, yeah, like, I think that's kind of shady.
Well, here's...
in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, I could see there being, like, accidents and mistakes where it could be, produced. I mean, it may have not just been, like, a human, it might have been humanoid, but they could have crossed, like, human DNA with, like, say, like, another biped, where maybe they were experimenting with, like, monkeys, mixed with like human DNA, or ancestral DNA, mixing it with current DNA. There's a whole bunch of different theories that you could base off of that. I'm not like I don't know the specifics on that. I mean, I'm not like any kind of gene expert, but if you were to take 2 genomes, it's like if you were to take the Andromeda galaxy and compare it to the Milky Way. Like there's differences, but then there's similarities. I mean, it goes back to Jurassic Park. Like, they crossed. Supposedly in Jurassic Park, they crashed, frogs with prehistoric DNA.
Let me rein you in here. Let's stay focused. My final point on the alien autopsy is this. Coincidence theorists don't take the word of people when they say it's real, but they take the word of the same people when they say it's fake. Why? Why would you trust the words of humans, especially if you've already established they aren't trustworthy? So it's again, the burden of proof is on the positive claim. I'm not saying that it's real in any way. I'm just saying for those that definitively believe that it's fake based on nothing but the words of humans, that's as silly as believing it's real based on their words. Why would you believe the words of humans who can be compromised or paid off or corrupt? I mean, it's really, really silly. So that's my final point there. If footage is real, would it be the MO of government officials to pay people off to say it's fake if they want to keep something under wraps? to make false claims that it was fake.
If those people had to continue to be alive, then yes.
Good point.